Namaste, welcome everyone. I'll give you a few seconds to get yourselves set up and organized. Welcome. Have available for your practice all that you need to bring comfort and a sense of softness. So your blankets, I always recommend having 2 blankets, one to place underneath you, perhaps on your mat, underneath your head like a cushion or under your sit bones, one to perhaps cover you, pillow, cushion, bolster equivalent, eye pillow, blocks, so that when we come into, so we can practice yin without having the props. The props help us to access and sustain poses. And they can also switch the element of yin into something that is more restorative. So props can give us the extra support that we need. But again, I often practice yin without props, unless I want to add a restorative layer to my practice. Let's snuggle into our seats for a moment to start with. We will rise up to do some body tapping, but let's welcome ourselves on the mat first. And today I invite you to bring your thumb and middle finger rather, to touch in Akash Mudra. Akash is the element of space. So what I'm inviting us to do today during our practice is to connect with the sense of space within us, within our bodies. Touching the void. This is a whole body practice, and therefore I want us to be able to sense all of the space within our body and connect with that sense of space. Palms face up on your knees. Eyes can close or gaze down towards the earth, turning inward. With each in-breath, begin to deepen and lengthen that breath. Notice where the breath moves to. The space the breath is filling as it arrives in your body. So on the inhale, notice the journey of the breath filling all of the spaces down into your lungs, the very depths of your lungs. And perhaps you notice your belly expand here. Again, this sense of expansion, this filling of space. And when you exhale, by drawing that navel back towards your spine, then notice how you're squeezing out space. The contraction of space. And then as the breath leaves the body, what it leaves in its stead, in its path. Let's add a count to our breath. I'm going to take a longer breath out. Inhaling, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath in just for a moment or two. And then exhaling for up to 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding the breath out for a moment or two. So let that full breath in be expansive for the count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold in for 2, 1. And then slowly release the breath. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath out. 2, 1. If the count of 4 and 8 feels too long, you can adjust it to breathe in for 3, breathe out for 6. So we want to double the length of the exhale. Breathing in for either 4 or 3. Holding in for 2. Breathing out for 8 or 6. Holding out for 2. Allowing your breath to travel with your count. 1 round more wherever you are. And now I invite you to return to your natural rhythm. Bring your hands together at your heart center in prayer. Open our practice by chanting Om 3 times. And for each Om, let's resonate that Om in our body. So when you chant the Om, feel the vibrations in your upper body, your lower body. Inhale fully. Om. Inhale. Om. Inhale. Om. Hands to your eyebrow center. Namaste and welcome, yogis. So we're going to rise directly to our feet to do a little bit of body tapping because it's a whole body practice, and then we'll come back down to the earth. So rise up to your feet. Let's just shake everything out before we start tapping. So shaking out the right foot and the right leg. Let it jiggle. Out of my way. And then let's switch to the other leg, shaking it out. Really allow the feet to feel relaxed, the joints to feel relaxed. And then let's bring in our hands. So shaking your hands at the wrist, at the elbow, at the shoulder. And now bring in the whole of your body. So you might be shaking your hips, your buttocks, your knees, your feet. So reaching up, reaching down. I've had a little dance here. Do a little shimmy. I like to do this thing I call like shaking my thighs, so that you can really feel the body fat feeling loose and free. So I can feel all my body fat shaking. And those of us with lots of muscles, you might feel your muscles shaking. So muscles have less movement than fat. That's why it's an advantage to have a bit of body fat. Just shake it better. Right, let's come to some stillness now. So shake it out, slow down. That bit you can always play music for if you're at home. So let's come into our standing mountain and create that gentle fist by folding the fingers of our right hand. I'm going to invite you to do that there first. So we're going to start off with the upper body meridians and then work down to the lower body meridians. So taking your fist, let's start tapping just at the shoulder, at the collarbone here. And then over to the shoulder, the top of the shoulder. So we're going to work first with the lung meridian that runs along the inside of the arm. So tapping down the arm. So remember, our body has yin and yang sides. The yin is the inner side of our body. The yang is the outer. side of our body, so the outer edges and the inner edges. And then pause at places where you feel like you want to, especially at the wrist and the elbow. And let's go all the way down to the thumb for the lung. The lung connects with grief as the main emotion. It's also clearly connected with the organ of the lung. Now let's flip our hand and go to the index finger and then tap on the outside of the hand. Again, pause at the wrist, along the outer edge of the arm, pausing at the elbow, all the way up to the shoulder, back to the collarbone. So there's the large intestine along the outside, the lung on the inside. The large intestine is sadness. Now let's lift our armpit. And here we're now going to be focusing on the heart meridian, which cultivates joy. Heart meridian, again, is the yin aspect of this meridian pair. Travel along the inside of your arm. I'm going to go all the way to the little finger for this time. And then flip the little finger. So now we're small intestine, which is the other side of this, the other meridian of this pair. And then travel along the outside of the arm. And this cultivates vitality. Back to the shoulder and back to the pericardium, underneath the armpit. So now just here at the side, where in line with your nipple area is the pericardium. So again, traveling along the inside. So the pericardium mirrors the heart meridian here on the inside of the arm. It's the yin pair with the triple heater down to the middle finger. This cultivates it counteracts depression. And then let's turn around the middle finger and tap along the outside of the middle finger for the triple heater, which sends you out. And again, traveling along the outside of the arm. And this is where we create feelings of kindness. And then let's go back to where we started. So let's switch sides now. So we're going to go over onto the left side, folding your left fingers. Let's start at the collarbone. So let's go back to the lung on this side. You don't need to do both sides. I like to do both sides for symmetry. So traveling along the inside of the arm for the lung meridian. So when you go for acupuncture and the needles are being placed in different acupressure points, they tend to just work along one channel of the meridian, along one side of the body and not both sides necessarily. Let's go all the way to the thumb, then flip our hand, index finger, and work our way along the outside of the arm for the large intestine. And this releases sadness here. Back along the arm, pausing at places that you need, coming back to your collarbone. And let's lift the arm, so armpit now for the heart meridian. Travel again along the inside, pausing at the elbow. So it's just very gentle patting. You're not like pounding yourself. It's quite gentle patting. What you don't want to do is be bruising yourself. Let's go all the way now to the middle finger. And then this is pericardium, the heart, sorry, the little finger. I skipped a meridian there. They do work in parallel along most of the arm. Flip the little finger and let's work along the outside of the small intestine, which is the yang of this pair. And back to the armpit. Now just moving slightly lower alongside the ribs here for the pericardium. And this time we're going to travel all the way to the little finger. And then flip, and then outside of the little finger, along the outside of the arm, all the way up for the triple heater. And again, you can think to yourself about the qualities such as kindness associated with this. Okay, let's release that. Now we're going to work with our lower body. We're going to start at the big toe and work our way along the inside of the leg for the liver. So you can do both sides here. So starting at the big toe, and then let's travel along the inside of the foot at the ankle, pause for a few moments at the ankle. So here we are going to just work along the inside of the leg for the liver. The liver is the yin of this pair. And then you might want to pause at the inside of the knees, come up along the thighs, along the hips. And you might do a little bit around your abdomen now. So here on the abdomen we have quite a few of the stomach and spleen, the liver. Maybe go along the back here. So this is the bladder there as well. So now let's go to the outside of the hips. So this is where the gallbladder is. So it's outside of the ribs, the hips, buttocks. So you might feel a little. And then travel down the outside of the legs. So now we're traveling downwards for the yang. Let's stop at the knees, outside of the ankles, and we're going to go all the way to the big toe, the fourth toe rather. And now we're going to come back along the inside, so back to the big toe. This is for the spleen. So the liver connects with anger, the gallbladder connects with courage, the spleen relates to empathy. So we can travel along the inside of our leg. And we're going to go up to the side of our abdomen, the spleen, the stomach, so the front of the abdomen for the stomach. So we're going to travel down the legs now for the stomach. So let's go down the middle of our abdomen and down the front of our leg. Again, you might want to pause around the knee area or just below the knee, down the shin. We're going to travel all the way along our feet to the second toe. So the stomach is connected to anxiety, releasing anxiety. Let's come back on the inside of the leg. Let's just turn your foot. You might want to just lift your foot and tap the underside of one foot and then the other foot first, because the center of the kidney starts here at the center of the foot, and then work our way up the inside of the leg. And this time we might go up the side here of our chest and then to the lower back. And now we're going to go down the back body for the bladder. So contemplation on the inside for the kidney, and the urinary bladder runs down the back here, back of the legs. This connects with releasing fear. All the way down the back of the legs. And then outside of the foot to the little toe. And there you go. So that's all of them. Oh, I say, oh, so much better. I feel more alive and awake now. Sunday feeling of drowsiness earlier. Let's come down to the earth. Take your legs apart, bend into your knees, and let's come through a squat. I can hear all my bones clacking. Let's sit here in a squat for a moment. So remember, for your squat, you can always sit on blocks or your bolster. Just going to be in a squat for a moment or two, hands at your heart. So have your toes turning out in the same direction as your knees. If you're sitting on a block or a bolster, ground down through your sit bones, lengthen. So you might have more space to lengthen here through your spine. One more breath here in yogi squat. So you can really feel this along the inside of your legs here. And you can feel it here in the hip flexors. So you know that when we're working with the lower body in particular, these whole body meridians, the kidney, the bladder, the gallbladder, the liver, the stomach and the spleen travel down the length of our legs. So when we're in any pose where we can feel it along our legs, you know that we are activating the lower body meridians. One more here. You can also bring your index finger to your eyebrow center and your thumb just underneath your lips. So again, you can be applying a little bit of gentle pressure here underneath the lip and on the third eye. So here at the third eye and underneath the lip. And then when you're ready, let's release that and come directly to the earth. Oh, he's going to be feeling that. So let's extend our legs long. We're going to come into half shoelace. Right knee, the right leg over the left. And bring the right knee so that it's above the left knee. Half shoelace here. Flex the left foot. If this does not feel that comfortable, you can always place a blanket between the two knees so that your upper knee is resting on a blanket if it's not connecting with the lower knee. Yogi's choice. Take your left hand and weave it through your toes of your right foot. So we know that many of our meridians end in the toes, or start in the toes rather. So our liver is the big toe and the spleen is the big toe. Our stomach is the second toe. Our gallbladder is the fourth toe. Bladder is the little toe, the fifth toe. So create a little web by posting your fingers through the web. Right hand can stay on top of the right knee here. Lengthen through your spine. Gaze at the horizon. We'll be here for a minute or so, not very long. We're going to transition into shoelace with both legs up, both feet up by our hips. So if you're feeling warm here, it's probably because you've activated and allowed the sense of chi to flow through your body. The body tapping and the shaking releases and activates energy, the flow of energy. It can be called in 5 elements, Chinese 5 elements theory, it's called chi. In Indian philosophy, it's called prana. This vital life force. So these South Asian traditions are rooted in the same family. So you'll notice lots of crossovers and similarities. One more breath here. And let's release the fingers through the toes, and you might just want to give the middle of your foot a little press with your thumb right in the center of the sole of the foot. And then let's uncross that leg, extend it long, and then let's bring the left knee over the right knee. So again, you have the option of placing a blanket or a cushion. Cushion will do just as well if you've got lots of space, so that might give you something to rest on so it doesn't feel so unsupported. Thread and weave your fingers of your right hand between the toes of your left foot. That left hand can rest on top of the left knee. Lengthen your spine, lift your gaze. Keep that right foot flexed. So you can feel, by keeping this right foot flexed, you should be able to feel an extension at the back of your leg. So along the back of your leg runs the bladder meridian. By folding in shoelace really activates these lower body meridians, especially around the knee. When we're folding the knee, and you might be feeling it in your knee. So remember, the sensations we want to create are strong sensations, but that are feeling sustainable and safe for us. So we do not go beyond our edge. The pain barrier is a way of letting our body know that we are not keeping it safe. So we stay within that, well within that. One more breath here in half shoelace. And then before we release the left foot, let's press our thumb into the sole of the foot to give it a little massage there on the kidney acupressure points. And then let's release that foot, extend both legs long for a moment. And then if you have your pillow available or you have a bolster, take the bolster and place it underneath your knees. You're going to come into caterpillar before we move into full shoelace. So if you have a bolster or a pillow, you can rest your knees on the bolster or pillow. Lengthen through your spine. Reach up with your hands, and then as you exhale, hinge from your waist to reach down towards your feet so that you come into a forward fold caterpillar here. And if you reach your toes, you can always wrap your peace fingers around your big toe and then press the big toe with your thumbs. So you may be practicing without a bolster. And we'll be here for 2 minutes. So your option is to have a bolster under your knees or a pillow. And if you don't have anything available, then you're reaching for your toes or reaching for your legs. So this pose in Hatha yoga is called Paschimottanasana in Yin. It is called caterpillar. You'll recognize a lot of the Yin poses are from Hatha yoga. They're simply held for longer periods of time. So we have about another minute here. So breathe into the places where you feel tension, where you feel that stretch along the back of the leg in particular. Perhaps you feel it in your lower back, where the kidneys are. And here you can also know that as we're folding forward, we're also working on the stomach and spleen. By extending our arms, we're working on the lung and the heart meridians. So this is a whole body pose. Five more breaths here. Whichever variation you're in, with or without support underneath your knees, inhale to look towards your toes, then release your toes if you're holding them, and then walk your hands back towards your body and unfurl your spine one vertebrae at a time to come up. Let's place our hands behind our back, fingers pointing in, come onto the soles of our feet, and let's windshield wiper our knees from left to right. And this is where we might choose to move our bolster away for a moment and bring our heels up by our hip and come onto all fours. So we're going to come into shoelace in this way. So let's take the right knee in front of the left knee to start with, and take your toes as wide as your mat. And then begin to walk your sit bones back towards you. If this feels too intense for your knees, you can always sit on your bolster. So have your sit bones on your bolster and your hands can be supporting you on the earth. So you have your knees in shoelace and your hands are on the earth. Alternatives are, your hands don't quite reach, I like to have lots of props available. So for example, to make the shoelace accessible for me in this way, I can sit on a high bolster and I can rest my hands on a low footstool or a chair. And then wherever you are, we're going to sort of fold forward. So if you have a low footstool or a chair, you can rest your forearms on the chair. That's with props. Let's move stuff out of the way. And then if you, with your sit bones on the earth, you can fall forward and rest your eyebrow center on your knees. So yin is accessible at lots of different stages. There are different points or stops that we can reach with our yin practice. We're not all going to look the same. We're not all going to be in the same place. So remember, you can have your knees fairly high up, your sit bones fairly high up. So if you don't have a footstool, you could just be hovering here like this with your knees crossed and your forearms on the earth. Yin gives us license to be creative. Now, whichever variation we're in, we're going to move from here. So inhale to lift your crown, lift your gaze. You need to walk your hands back towards your body a little bit to come up. And then let's uncross our legs. So come back into this table variation and release the right knee. And you might want to stretch that right leg behind you for a moment, tucking the toes, reaching out through the heel. And now we're going to bring the left knee in front. So you might do by bringing the knee. So you have two options. You can either bring the left knee in towards you, or you can take the right knee behind you. Wherever you want, you can have the left knee in front of you. So you have two ways of crossing your knees. Take your feet wide. And again, here now, if you know you need props to help access this pose and make it sustainable for you, reach for your props. So you can sit directly on the earth, or you sit on a pillow or a cushion. And then we're going to fold forward, so we lengthen, and then move down towards the earth. So you can bring your forearms to the earth. You can bring your eyebrow center to your knees. So here, because I have my sit bones on a bolster, I have a lot more space because I have less distance to travel with my sit bones on the earth. I have less distance available to me, so I Rest my eyebrow center on my knees. Use your props, your household, cushions, pillows, footstools, chairs. So here, you're going to be feeling this intensely in your hips. This is where the strong sensation may be. The strong sensation may also be in the knees. You might be feeling it in your buttocks. So it's definitely a strong sensation in the lower body meridians. By being folded over, we're working on our stomach and spleen. One more breath wherever you are, whichever variation of shoelace you are, with sit bones on cushions or pillows, with forearms on the earth on a low footstool, or eyebrow center resting on your knees. Let's lift our gaze to come up slightly, walk your hands back towards your body for a moment. And then let's come into the table variation. And release that left leg. And take that left leg long, tuck the toes, and reach out through the heel. Just to stretch that leg out. And then let's bring the knee back underneath our hips. We're going to move into melting heart pose. So you have the option here of padding your knees if you need to bring in a little bit of padding. Place a blanket underneath your knees. You can bring your heart space towards the earth. So let's come onto our forearms first, underneath our shoulders, and then slide your arms away from you and bring your eyebrows center towards the earth. This feels too intense. This is where having your cushions or bolsters might help. Place them underneath your heart space so that when you extend your arms, your heart space rests on a bolster or a cushion. Take your arms out wide if it feels very tight in your shoulders. If it feels too intense to have both arms extended, fold in the right arm, and you can do half variation, half melting heart before, and then switch to the other side so that you are working both sides. So this will look different depending on which props you're using, or perhaps you're not using any props at all. So your bolster and your cushion needs to be underneath your heart space. And your arms extended long. One arm can be folded in as your option. Your eyebrow center might be resting on a folded blanket, on a cushion, or on the back of your hand if you have one arm folded in. Now you know that the sensation has shifted into your upper body. You can feel it underneath your armpits, tops of your shoulders. So we're working with the lung and the heart meridians, the pericardium, and the triple heater, the small and large intestine. If you have one arm folded, let's swap over so that you extend the folded arm and fold in the opposite arm. And here in melting heart, think about the space where you now feel the space, where you feel contraction and expansion. This sense of the whole body connection and the void and space within the whole body. And breathe into that space. And allow the air in your breath to fill that space. Where there's tightness or tension or compression, then allow the breath to create a little bit of space. Three more breaths in melting heart. And to come back up, move slowly with care. So you can fold in one arm, then the other. And then use helping hands to come back up into table. When you're up in table, let's sway the hips from left to right. Let's create some circles with the hips one way, the other way. And we're going to move directly into dragon pose from here. Let's step forward with the right foot. So take the right foot to the outside of the right hand. You can shuffle it forward. So you might feel that you're quite high up. So what we want to do is we want to bring a little bit of a diagonal slant to that left thigh. So move that right foot forward and create lots of space. So you can see here where my right foot is. Have that right foot towards the outer edge of your mat. You might turn your toes in the same direction as the knee to give you more space. Check how your left knee is feeling. You may still have your blanket underneath from melting heart pose. You might still have that blanket underneath that left knee to protect it. If it feels too intense to have your hands on the earth, again, this is where you bring in your props. You can rest your hands on a bolster. Your bolster or pillow can also be underneath your left thigh, so that your left thigh has something to rest against. So we're in high flying dragon for the moment. And then think about where you're experiencing the sensations. So here you know that sensations have dropped that back down into the lower body. Probably feeling it along the front of your left thigh, the inside of your right thigh. You can also take your fingers of your right hand and weave your fingers through the toes of that right foot. Again, working on those meridians so you can see I've weaved my fingers through my right toes. So 5 more breaths here. And now I'm going to invite you to take your right hand to the inside of your right knee and slightly press your hand against that right knee. And as you do that, rotate your heart and gaze up towards the sky. Your right foot might shift onto the outer edge of that foot, the little toe side. So you might bring you can see how my right foot has gone to the outer edge. And then I spiral my heart and gaze to look up at the sky, twisted dragon. One more breath here. And then rotate your gaze back down towards the earth. We're going to shift into pigeon from here, or sleeping swan. So take your right hand to the outside of your right foot. Crisscross heel toe all the way across your mat. Keep supporting yourself with your hands and then bring the right shin down towards the earth, the right knee down towards the earth, and come onto your right sit bone here. Check how you feel here. I'm going to remove my blanket from underneath my left knee. So we're lining up for sleeping swan here. And then roll onto the front of your left leg. Now your foot might change angle here, coming towards your left hip. And that's fine. And then when you're here in high swan, lengthen through your spine and crown. And then let's fold forward onto the earth. Eyebrow center can rest on your hands, on a blanket, on a cushion, or on the earth. Arms can be folded here as mine, or they can be extended if you have the space. I don't have the space here because of my dogs. So here you are in pigeon. So you'll notice in sleeping swan, we feel it particularly on the outer edge of the outer leg, around the hip, around the back of the buttock. This is working with the gallbladder. So this cultivates courage, resilience. Five more breaths here in sleeping swan. And then with helping hands, inhale to lift your crown, lift your gaze back into high swan. Tuck the left toes and lift the left knee. And then step back along with the right foot, coming into plank just for a moment. You might walk your knees here, walk your pedal here just to release. And then let's bring the right knee to the earth. Pat your knee. And then step to the outside, moving on this and to soften that connection with the earth. And then bring that right hip down towards the earth so you create an angle in that right thigh. The left toes can be pointing out slightly at a 45-degree angle in the same direction as your knee. Your hands can be on the earth or on a bolster or a low footstool. And also again to thread your left fingers through your left toes so that you're weave connecting in the web between those toes. Yogi's choice. If your wrists begin to feel tired, you can come onto your forearms or you can create little fists with your hands and then have the knuckles of your hands on the earth. your high flying dragon here. When we transition, we're going to transition into twisted dragon. Releasing your toes if you have your fingers weaved through them. And then take your left hand to the inside of your left knee and turn onto the side of your left foot, the little toe side. And as you push your knee out gently, spiral your heart and gaze up towards the sky. Again, check how you're feeling through that right hand. If that right wrist is beginning to ache, you can come onto your forearm. Or you can create that fist. So remember, underneath your right hand can be a bolster or a pillow or a footstool. Not here for long and twisted dragon. Going to spiral our heart and gaze back down towards the earth. Bring the sole of your left foot to the earth. Then take your left hand to the outside of your left foot and heel toe your left foot across the right hand. And then supporting yourself with your left hand, bring the left thigh and knee and shin to the earth. And then we're going to check what's happening with our right leg. So adjust that left foot to where you need to and then roll onto your right leg, the front of your right leg. Reaching back with your toes. Come too high here. Arms can be extended forward and eyebrows center resting on the earth, or you can have your elbows out towards the side and have your eyebrow center resting on the backs of your hands. Whole body yin helps us to connect with the length and breadth and depth of our body. We connect with the places where there is contraction, tension, compression, matter. And also connect with where there is space, a void, an expansion. Thinking of your body as a landscape. With mountains and valleys. With high points and low points. Following that curve of your body. As if it were the curve of the earth. One more breath here in pigeon or sleeping swan. And then inhale, lifting your gaze, your crown with helping hands, walking your hands back underneath your shoulders, tuck your right toes, lift your right knee, and then step back along with your left leg. And let's just pedal there for a moment to release the legs. And then come onto your knees. And let's come onto our hips. We're going to lie down on the mat on our backs. Oh, sorry, puppy. So come to the earth in a way that feels mindful and least disruptive to you. Come to the center of your mat and then move your hips, leaving your head and feet where they are, over to the right hand side. So you begin to create a little C shape, banana asana or supine crescent over here. Then walk your feet to the bottom left hand corner and take your arms overhead. So you can either take hold of elbows, or you can take hold of your right wrist with your left hand and then place your hands in the top left-hand corner of the mat. You'll feel an extension along the right side of your body. To deepen the sensation, you can cross your right foot over your left. So crossing at the ankle. If you begin to get pins and needles in your arms, especially if you're holding your wrist, then you can take hold of your elbows, or you can bring your arms alongside your body, holding them above your head can sometimes give you pins and needles, which means there's a compression there on your nerves. So your hips are on the right side of your mat. Your feet and legs are headed down towards the bottom left-hand corner. Your arms and hands towards the top left-hand corner, creating the banana-shaped banana asana. I invite you to close your eyes here. Within the body you are wearing now, inside the bones, beating in the heart, lives the one you have always been searching for so long. Within the body you are wearing now, inside the bones and the beating in the heart, lives the one you have been searching for so long. Let's release your wrists, uncross your ankle, and walk your arms and legs back towards the middle. With our hips over to the left side, our hands and arms to the top right-hand corner, our feet to the bottom right-hand corner. Cross your left ankle over your right to add more extension. And remember, if you lose sensation in your arms, you can always take hold of your elbows rather than holding your wrist, or bring your arms alongside your body. Within the body you are wearing now, inside the bones and beating in the heart, lives the one you have been searching for so long. But you must stop running away and shake hands. The meeting doesn't happen without your presence, your participation. The same one waiting for you there is moving in the trees, glistening on the water, growing in the grasses and lurking in the shadows you create. You have nowhere to go. The marriage happened a long time ago. Behold your mate within the body you are wearing now. Releasing your wrists or your elbows, uncrossing your ankle, and bring your arms and legs back to the center and shift your hips back to the middle. I invite you to stay here in Shavasana for as long as you need, or if you wish to rise up with me and end the practice, you can come to your seat. As you lie here in Shavasana, or if you're seated, we're going to close our practice by chanting Ah, U, M. Ah, sound in the head, U, sound in the heart, sound in the legs for the first round. And then for the second round, ah sound in the legs, oo sound in the heart, sound in the head. Inhale fully. Ah. Inhale fully, ah sound at the legs, oo sound at the heart, sound in the head. Ah. Now all together. Ah. Dhanyavad. And thank you, yogis. Enjoy your restful, restorative evening ahead.